Nick lives in this huge detached house a couple of streets away. Apparently, his family have always had these giant Christmas parties, with like 100 people, and since this is our first Christmas as a couple, I was going to drop in for half an hour in the evening anyway, once most of my relatives had entered a wine-induced slumber. But now, here I am at only 4 p.m, and he wasn't exaggerating. The front door is open, people's voices echo from every window. There are flashing lights coming from the living room, and I can feel the bass vibrations through my feet. It's a wonder they haven't been reported by the neighbours. Charlie Spring, 1602. I'm outside. I stand and wait on their doorstep. Just walking into the house would probably be a bit awkward, and I doubt anyone would hear the doorbell if I tried to ring it. Luckily, Nick quickly appears at the doorway. He looks at me for a couple of seconds, and then folds his arms. Fucking hell, you didn't even bring an umbrella. I glance up at the sky. I hadn't even noticed it was raining, but when I look down at myself I realise that my clothes are completely soaked. Oh, I say, and look back up to find him there. Hey, he says with a grin. I don't think that Nick is a normal boyfriend, or that this is a normal relationship. If I could choose to be with him all of the time, I would. And that's awful, because I know that it's unhealthy, and you're not supposed to be obsessed with the person you're in love with, because you're supposed to be a person on your own too. But still, every single time, I would choose to be with him. Maybe I'm just 15, and an idiot. Hi, I say, and step inside. He shuts the door and turns to face me, his grin gone. He brushes some of my drenched hair out of my eyes. You look like shit, Charles. I just let my forehead fall onto his shoulder. His arms wrap around me instantly, and I lift mine to hold him too, and he rests his head against mine, and his hair brushes my ear and pulls me against him. We stay like that, in the cold porch, just for a few minutes, without saying anything, without moving. And then he whispers, "You okay?" And I start to cry, because that's always what happens when people ask me that question. I really don't want him to see me cry, because there's been far too much of that recently, and it's Christmas Day, so I try extremely hard not to move from his shoulder, but that doesn't stop him seeing. When he pulls back, the tears are streaming down my face. He looks, his eyes becoming so pained and sad, like they always do when he sees me cry. Then he removes a handkerchief from the back pocket of his trousers. The sheer ridiculousness of Nick owning a handkerchief immediately makes me snort out a laugh, which makes him smile too, and raise his eyebrows. And I do stop crying as he methodically wipes my cheeks. "Why do you have a handkerchief?" I ask. Nick breaks out into a grin. Owning a handkerchief is cool now. Oh, I haven't been keeping up with current trends. Nick laughs. It's so lovely against the sound of the rain and the low bass of whatever music they're playing in the living room. Okay, maybe it was a Christmas present that I put in my pocket just to prove to my nan that I would actually use it. He puts it back into his pocket and then takes my face in both of his hands. And what do you know? I did use it. I smile at him, his hands feeling so warm against my skin. Maybe your nan knows me better than you do. Are you suggesting you want to date my nan? There are so many reasons why I do not want to do that. Good. He hugs me again, his arms reaching around my waist. Thought I had some competition for a minute there. You don't have any competition, I say. I just want to stay here forever with him in the porch, live here in the cold with the rain falling next to us, make a bed out of the coats and a fire out of the coat rack. You smooth little bastard, he says, leaning in with a smile, and I meet him with a kiss that turns into a longer kiss. A longer kiss than either of us planned, but everything is suddenly far too nice for it to end. I run a hand through his hair and he pulls my hips against his. For a brief moment, it actually feels like Christmas. I assume this is the boyfriend then? Nick and I jolt apart and turn to find that we've drawn an audience of at least 7 family members of varying ages. "Gonna introduce us, mate," continues the guy who just spoke, possibly an uncle or an older cousin. "Oh yeah," Nick replies, still in a daze. He moves behind me and pushes me further into the house with his hands on my shoulders towards his family, who seem to be multiplying in numbers as more people walk through the hallway and realise that I've arrived. "So, this is Charlie." A good half an hour is spent introducing me to every single member of Nick's family, who for some reason all want to meet me. Everything is, "Oh, so this is Charlie then," and nobody asks any awkward questions about hospital or how I found Christmas dinner or anything like that. Throughout most of this, I'm carrying the new Nelson family puppy Henry, who is the tiniest and palest pug puppy I've ever seen. Henry falls asleep in my arms, and I fall immediately in love with him. Nick's other dog, a border collie named Nellie, trails along behind us, occasionally bopping her nose against my leg. I wish my parents let me have pets. Nick's mum still has her cracker hat on, even though I've seen her numerous times since I came home. She gives me a hug lasting 10 seconds longer than is socially acceptable. I don't really mind though. After that, Nick drags me up to his room so I can change clothes, despite my protests that I don't mind staying in my soaked jeans. As I'm changing, Nick's lounging on his big double bed. He's wearing his usual old jeans, but then he's got this bright red jumper with reindeer patterns on it. It's disgusting, and absolutely hilarious. I like your jumper, I say as I'm doing my belt up. It's very sexual. Nick looks down, as if he's forgotten what he's wearing. Oh yeah, he says. I know, right? He looks up at me and waggles his eyebrows. So seductive. I pick up my damp jeans from the floor, chuck them at his face, and laugh as he dramatically rolls off his bed in an attempt to catch them. I like your jumper, he says, crawling back onto his bed, a small smile playing on his lips. Whoever picked that out has proper taste. I'm momentarily confused, and then realise I'm wearing Nick's navy Adidas jumper that I borrowed a few months back, but then forgot to give back. Look, boyfriend jumpers are the best, okay? Big, comfy, and they smell good. Oh, oops, I say. I inspect myself in the mirror. Nick's jeans, pretty much the same as mine but several sizes larger, look ridiculous on me. I groan heavily. I look like a 90s boy band member. Nick appears behind me. He's not actually that much taller than me, just broader, which is great from like an aesthetic perspective, but not from a clothes sharing perspective. Well, it's this or joggers, and I guarantee my mum will have something to say if we turn up to our Christmas party in joggers. I think joggers would make me look even more like a member of the Backstreet Boys. Nothing wrong with the Backstreet Boys. Nick meets my eye in the mirror. We stay silent for a moment, then he takes my hand, so I turn to face him. Are you okay? He says. Do you want to talk about it? I know I probably should. I should explain about the argument I had with Mum, and all the arguments we've had over the past few weeks. I should explain how difficult it is to keep trying to do better when there are so many people who just refuse to understand how hard it is. I should explain that I barely slept last night because I was so anxious about dinner, and even though I actually did quite well, I still felt like everyone was watching me, waiting for me to fuck up and ruin the day. But it's so much easier to just not think about it. I just wanted to have a nice day, I say, and I feel myself welling up again, and I want to punch myself in the face. Okay, he says, slinging an arm around my shoulders and walking me out of his room, then kissing me on the top of the head. Let's do that then.